press reporting that President Joe Biden pardoned Dr. Anthony Fauci, again, retired General Mark Milley, and members of the House committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol, using the extraordinary powers of his office in his final hours to guard against potential, quote, revenge by the incoming Trump administration.
Breaking news from the White House, a statement from President Joe Biden issuing preemptive pardons for a number of individuals that he said he is fearful will be persecuted, politically persecuted. I just want to tick through for you the list of people that the president says he is pardoning preemptively today. They include General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci. We also have members and staff of the committee that investigated the January 6th insurrection. He also said that that group would include the U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before this committee. Jake, this was a possibility that we had anticipated and that we reported was something that President Biden was considering. And in all of our reporting, we anticipated that if he were to take this action, it was very possible that it would happen at the very last minute. And here we are, just hours before President Biden is set to leave the White House. The president is announcing this very controversial decision. In this lengthy statement that he just released, he says, I believe in the rule of law, and I am optimistic that the strength of our legal institutions will ultimately prevail over politics. But he says these are exceptional circumstances, and I cannot in good conscience do nothing.
Live now from Fox. This coming in just now into our Live Now from Fox studios, President Biden issuing preemptive pardons to Fauci, Milley, and others. Here's a quote from President Biden. It says, that is why I am exercising my authority under the Constitution to pardon General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, the members of Congress and staff who served on the Select Committee, and the U.S. Capitol and D.C. Metropolitan Police officers who testified before the Select Committee. He goes on to say the issuance of these pardons should not be mistaken as an acknowledgement that any individual engaged in any wrongdoing, nor should acceptance be misconstrued as an admission of guilt for any offense. He goes on to say our nation owes these public servants a debt of gratitude for their tireless commitment to our country. The decision by Biden comes after Donald Trump warned of an enemies list filled with those who have crossed him politically or sought to hold him accountable for his attempt to overturn his 2020 election loss and his role in the storming of the U.S. Capitol back on January 6, 2021. We know Trump has selected cabinet nominees who backed his election lies and who have pledged to punish those involved in efforts to investigate him. That's coming from President Joe Biden.
Now, when he is talking about exceptional circumstances, of course, he is referring to the incoming president, Donald Trump, who has made very clear in all of his public statements that he is focused on taking revenge on people, on individuals who he sees as having done him wrong. These specific people, and particularly if you think about the members who served on the January 6th committee, the staffers who served to work on that committee, these are people that the president obviously was worried would face a lot of legal troubles. Knew that there was just a lot of hardships coming their way, and this is why he is taking this action to make sure that he can save them from all of that, even though he makes clear he does not believe that they did anything wrong, Jake.
And so the president thinks this is necessary because of everything Donald Trump said during the campaign about retribution, about getting back at the people he thinks have been disloyal to him. Is it necessary? I'll leave that to smarter people than me. But what it does, it will continue the polarization and the fights, and it will put a burr in Donald Trump's saddle.
Did these surprise you?
The pardons didn't surprise me, but I actually think Joe Biden might have done Donald Trump quite a favor with this. Listen, the American people elected Donald Trump to deal with the border, to deal with the cost of living, to deal with, restoring American leadership abroad, not to be going after Tony Fauci and prosecuting four-star generals. And as much as some of his base may have liked that, most of the country would hate that sideshow. And this kind of allows him to focus on the things that he's good at, that he was elected to do, not get distracted with what would end up being something that I think kind of feeds to his worst instincts. That said, I think he's going to be mad about this. I think it is going to be an awkward car ride over, and I could see it changing some of the remarks that he gives later today. He's going to be speaking twice. I'm almost certain he'll end up addressing this in some form.
Pardoned General Mark Milley, Dr. Anthony Fauci, and all congressional members and staff that served on the January 6th committee. Now, Maryland Congressman and Chair of the House Freedom Caucus, Andy Harris is here to talk about this, but I want to add this real quick point here. Liz Cheney was on that committee. Adam Schiff on that committee, Pete Aguilar, Jamie Raskin is on that committee, Adam Kinzinger, and again, Liz Cheney. Mark Milley, Anthony Fauci, this release just coming just a few moments ago.
That's right. I just received a statement from General Milley. We're the first to obtain it here, Jake. And let me just read the statement to you. In response to this preemptive pardon from President Biden, the statement says, "My family and I are deeply grateful for the president's action today. After 43 years of faithful service in uniform to our nation, protecting and defending the Constitution, I do not wish to spend whatever remaining time the Lord grants me fighting those who unjustly might seek retribution for perceived slights. I do not want to put my family, my friends, and those with whom I serve through the resulting distraction, expense, and anxiety. It has been an honor and a privilege to serve our great country in uniform for over 4 decades, and I will continue to keep faith and loyalty to our nation and Constitution until my dying breath. I thank my wife, Holly Ann, my children, my dear friends, and my trusted colleagues who have supported me throughout my life."